So I remember the first time I ever saw a universal remote control. You know what? I thought to myself, well, that changes everything.
Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Black Dog number 46.
Jim's crying. Why would you do that to Jim? Look at his face. Look at his little face. Look.
What have you done to him?
What have you done, man?
Well, you know, don't blame me. I've got my army of irregulars sending me emails literally daily. It's not me. It's not me anymore. The monster has got out of control. It's gone. It's not me anymore. Can't blame me. Anyway, so yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 46. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
And this week we will be seeing how everyone's week's been. And then we might have a bit of feedback for last week's movie, which I can't even bloody remember what it is now. What did we have as last week's movie?
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
That's right, yeah, we did. Shutter Island.
Yeah, so we got some feedback for Shutter Island, and then we move on to this week's movie, which is my movie, which was picked at random by the multi-dimensional 4D chess battleships that we played last week to finally arrive on the movie Clue, which everyone's been telling me is the funniest thing ever since the birth of funny. And, yeah, I've never seen before, so we'll be getting to that shortly. So before we do, though, let's get this show on the road with everyone's week. Now, Elton isn't here this week. He should be back next week, and he has sent me two films to pick from. I have picked from one, so I have his movie for next week. So he will return to this movie that he's picked. So there.
Is he going to run into goodness, or is he running straight onto the end of someone's fist? Is that what you've picked?
Well, no. He sent me one. He sent me one.
Okay.
He said, pick it, and here it is. So from Beyond the Grave, Elton has already chosen next week's movie. So there you go, and he will be back next week. So we move on then to this week's How Was Your Week, and we start with you, Jim. How was it, sir? Or how has it been?
It's been tiring and stressful. Long story short, I'm now sort of got the job of getting my late friend's house, clearing the last bits out, redecorating it, and getting it kind of market worthy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, oh my God, there's so much to do. There is so much to do. It's just not funny.
Right.
However, so the house has been through probate, and it's been literally shut up the last 3 months. His mum had spoke to the utility people, closed all the accounts, blah blah blah. And while the probate was sorted, and so I've had everything reconnected. When I go to the house, I find a stack of bills from British Gas, who have decided, despite being told the house is going to be vacant, that there's somebody living there, the occupier or occupiers. Right. And they've estimated bills, and they're trying to, and they're telling, now it's got a legal threat status, and it's kind of, well, as that's an imaginary bill you've estimated, because no cunt's been in that house to read the meter, and there's nobody living there, I suggest you take them to imaginary court and throw the imaginary book at them.
Yes, and try and get the Ouija board to try and pull up someone to come and pay for this fucker. No.
I mean, the thing is that we've got the final meter readings, which is from when our account we've set up starts from. So no utilities have been stolen. Everything's been off for months, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, they couldn't take no for an answer. And the TV licensing, similar. They sent an inquiry about a license, and now they're threatening to take non-existent people to court for a house that doesn't have a telly in it.
Or an occupier. Yeah. Or electricity
or an
turned
occupier,
on.
Yeah, and it's just kind of... on one hand, it's kind of like, I'm just, no, knock yourselves out with your fantasies, guys. I'm not, you fucking chase your own tails and waste your own money. I don't care. Yeah. On the other hand, I just really want to ring up and just shout at somebody for being cunts, but I don't think that'd be helpful.
Yeah. No. What you want to do is find out when they're coming round to collect whatever it is they think they're coming to collect. Then basically film them. And then just stand there, just filming them going in and trying to harass basically the dead.
Yes,
and then just post it to every news site you can ever imagine, and just watch the outrage roll in.
Yeah, they're unbelievable though. It's kind of, the thing is like the water rates. Nope, no new water bill. Council tax bill 0 because it is vacant. So they were all told. TV licensing was just on a fishing trip, just because no one replied to their letter. So, do you have a TV license? They've gone ballistic. We're going to investigate.
Jesus.
Well, fucking do so. Find out it's an empty house, you stupid wankers. Stop wasting my time and pissing me off.
Oh,
the thing is, I'm the kind of person I read these things and I feel bad. And then I think, I shouldn't feel bad. I've done nothing wrong. It's them being mental.
Yeah, exactly.
So my stress levels are through the roof. I'm fuming and there's no one to punch.
So regardless of how you actually feel about this film, you fucking hate it.
I think I'm just at war with everything at the minute. I'm just gonna have a fucking send money or smack, please, people. Anything. I need to chill out.
Yeah,
I just want to go in a house and tidy up and paint it, and not have to deal with piles of legal threats for people who don't exist for gas that wasn't used in the first place.
Jesus Christ. It's like Brazil, isn't it? It's like sort of bureaucracy
it
just
is.
gone insane.
It's gone mad. It is kind of like, did you even think just to check, the electoral roll and see like this house is vacant, maybe?
Jesus. I mean, it is. It's like the fly getting hammered on the typewriter, and then suddenly someone gets arrested because it's a typo.
Yeah.
It's just Jesus.
It's wow. Just knock yourself out, lads. You know what I mean? It's kind of you sort it out among yourselves. I'm not lifting a fucking finger.
Yeah,
but I will complain if you annoy me.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean,
it's not a good look, is it?
No, not really. Not really. Dear person who no longer exists, care of the choir invisible. I mean, it's just like, what is it? Is there any blowback to you at all if it does go south, or what is it? What is the deal with that then?
Well, technically, I'm not resident there, and there's nobody resident there, so there's no one to take to court for it, and not what an estimated bill. So it's a complete non-crime.
It reminds me of a quote from The Simpsons.
There you go. It's like, no, you've cooked this fantasy up, knock yourselves out, carry on with it, chase each other around the globe. I don't give a fuck, just be aware this is all in your imagination. There's nobody in that house. There is no telly. There's no gases being used.
Yeah. You've made up a number and now you're chasing someone who doesn't exist for it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can't just take the occupier to court. You actually need a name.
Yes. And it's not like you're going to cut him off. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, we're going to cut you off. Right.
It's actually very difficult for them to cut off your utilities these days. They're not allowed to do it.
Yeah, but even so,
all
even
these
if they
stupid threats. Well, exactly. It's an empty house. Knock yourselves out, lad.
Yeah, yeah. That showed them. It's just like
unbelievable. What? It really is.
What a bunch of numpties. Oh God, you're not even in the same sort of borough as that Pratt who's been on Twitter going at the Director General about flags. Have you?
Oh God, no.
Sounds that sort of thing.
Flags? What?
Oh. Yeah. There's a video. Sorry to deflect, Jim.
No,
but,
carry on. I'm done.
Yeah, all right.
Let's have a fresh rant.
Yeah, let's have another fresh rant. This morning I was on Twitter, and there on Twitter is like one of the things I follow is a lot of media feeds on Twitter, just for news and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then there's the every now and again the Commons Public Access Select Committee or whatever they're called, come along and they check in on government agencies, and obviously they've checked in on the BBC, and that gets all these self-important MPs to sit there and go things like, we've looked, we've checked, and you've only had 47 episodes of EastEnders this year, and where's the extra money that would have gone into making 50 gone, all that kind of shit. Anyway, so this guy from Norfolk, this MP from Norfolk, he videos himself, puts it on his own Twitter page, thinking that he looks fucking cool, like he's fighting for the common man, and in front of the Director General of the BBC, he actually says, because they're talking about like some sort of like 268-page document about the BBC's role in the global economy.
Right.
And this guy goes, no joking, with a real smug, shit-eating grin on his face, like he's just won like some moral argument. He goes to the Director General. He goes, "Do you know how many flags there are? And I've read your report, all 268 pages of it. Do you know how many Union Jacks there are?" And the Director General was like, "I didn't know that this was a metric that we were measuring the BBC by." And the guy goes, "No, just answer the question. How many do you think there are? Take a guess." And the Director General goes, "Well, I see a flag above the building when I walk in every day." And the guy goes, "Then let me tell you, there are none. There are no Union Jacks in this report. It's quite disappointing, especially considering the BBC represent the UK in the global economy." And he goes off on one about the fact there's no flags on a 260-page document about the BBC's role in the globe.
What the fuck have flags got to do with anything?
Well, then everyone just dogpiles on this poor fucker by saying, like, there's no flags on your Twitter page.
Yeah.
There's no flags on your public page.
There's no flags in the last few Tory election manifestos either.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. and then it's like, there's no flags on the HRH Prince Charles's webpage. There's no flags on Boris Johnson's webpage. There's no flags on the Church of England's webpage. There's no.
That's got England in the title.
Yeah, and then I actually got into one of those kind of like, oh, I'm gonna fucking slap him. He's such a knob. And I just went, how much did it cost for you to look through 268 pages?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can sit there with your smug shit-eating grin, feeling like you've won the fucking lottery. It's just like, what the prat?
What I want to know is, how did he have so much time on his hands to actually check this out? What are you doing for what are you doing for a living, mate? Because you're not an MP, are you? You're not doing what you should be doing. You're sitting on your arse, or should I say, sitting there with your finger up your arse, looking through a document for flags. What the absolute fuck?
But if you think that an MP base salary gets paid 81 grand a year
to look for flags.
Yeah, and it takes to read a 260-page document on average. It takes about 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, and then the public select committee meetings last between 3 to 5 hours. That means that for him to sit there with a shit-eating grin on his face has cost the taxpayer about $1,000.
What
just so he can sit there and go, why are there not flags in the BBC's report?
Didn't they have something in, like, the New Statesman, with like Rick Mail? Didn't they? Isn't this a storyline from there?
It might be Yes Minister, maybe.
Oh, it could be.
Or the fucking thick of it. I mean, it literally is just like, I could not believe it. Fucking idiot. But it's been a day for idiots. It's been a day for idiots. That's been a week. Been a week for idiots. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so Jim, sorry to divert there, but you did say you were okay with that. Is that all done?
No, I'm fine. I've done. I've had my rant now. I feel a bit better. Done. Until I start whining myself about it again.
Yeah. We won't mention gas bills anymore. Oh no, he's off.
That's it. Arms in the air, waving them like he just don't care.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Well, then, what about you then, Dal? How's your week been? Sir?
My week has been. It's been a little bit quiet. Keeping on with the fitness thing. I'm now into the 13 zone.
13 what?
13. I've just breached it. It's like, yes, have it.
Nice.
So there we go. So
Nice.
I'm in there. I'm carrying on with the exercise, eating well, and feeling a damn sight better than I used to.
Good.
So-
I'm into my 13th jar of Nutella, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
If that's a big handful on one nipple and no. Anyway, moving
Yeah.
on.
Wow.
Stop it, Darren. You're sounding like a Tory MP. Anyway, yes.
How many flags?
How many flags? How many flags? It's like that. Do you think that's going to be sort of like when Picard gets captured again by the Cardassians? How many flags?
There are no flags in the BBC manifesto. No flags. Jesus.
Oh, I could
Go
see
on,
that
carry
again.
on anyway.
Yes, so this week I've been listening to some audiobooks. Going through, trying a few out. And I picked up an interesting one. Now, I know this is going to make you groan, but, just hear me out. It's the book Star Wars from a Certain Point of View, right? And what it is, it's all the... it's tiny stories, small stories, that are running alongside what's going on in the original film, right? Now, I've only listened to a couple of them, but one of the stories that made me laugh is, in like Star Wars, where you've got they go on the Corellian blockade runner, and R2D2 and C3PO shuffle off into a escape pod, and the escape pod gets fired off. And one of the guys at the gun turrets goes, shall I shoot it? And his captain goes, no, don't bother. It's not showing any life forms. Let it go. Right.
Yeah.
One of them is about that bloke, right? And oh, fuck, what have I done? When he realizes that the fucking droids are in the pod, right? And basically, he goes to see his mate in admin. And it's this 15-minute story of her explaining what forms he needs to fill out so that he doesn't get his ass handed to him by Darth Vader. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like, no, you need to be allowed a B-15. Why is that then? Well, because then you can ask for a maintenance to be done on every single gun on the Star Destroyer. And that will take them for ages. And then, well, what about this? Oh, then you fill out this form, and then it gets them to have a look at all the windows on a Star Destroyer, which delays it for even more time. And it just ends up with the final form that they talk about, literally laying the actual blame for all this at the feet of his commanding officer. It's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. So yeah, that's a recommend, that one. That's a Star Wars from a Certain Point of View, and they go in sequence, all these stories as well. So you recognise the parts they're actually talking about. So yeah, that's good. And on was it TV this week? Tried out a show that I've heard a lot about. A show called Alien.
Sorry, say that again. You dropped out. No, we didn't. None of us heard that. You dropped out just as you said it. No, your internet dropped.
It's a show called Resident Alien. Starring Alan Tudyk, who plays... it's a pretty sort of cliche setup. You have this alien that comes to Earth who's coming to destroy it, right? He's coming to drop this mechanism on the planet, and it's just going to wipe the planet out because humans are kind of considered a bit of a wrong 'un, and before we go any further, they need to be wiped out so they don't fucking affect the rest of the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
But there's a freak accident on his ship. What it is, he's flying in, and as he comes in, he's coming in through an electrical storm, and fucking lightning hits his engine and takes it out, right?
Euphemism.
It certainly does, yes. So,
Nice.
so
Good work, Jim.
he crashes in buttfuck nowhere, right?
Yeah.
This town right in the middle of the country, and he ends up getting into this bloke's house, killing him, and taking over his identity, right? And he happens to be a doctor. He happens to be like a doctor who's on holiday there, but he gets roped in to take care of the town, right?
Right.
So now he's only supposed to be there. He's only supposed to be a flying visit, but now he's stuck there and he's got to complete his mission. So he's now got to find the device. Now the trouble is, there's just like about 5 foot of snow everywhere. So while he's trying to pretend to be this doctor, he's also got to go out at night looking for the fucking device. He's got a detector that he's made up that he's trying to find this thing with. Now, in the village or in the actual town, there's only one person who can see through his disguise. And it's like, this is a rarity, and it's a kid, right? This boy, this young boy who sees him, screams his head off and starts running. And I've got to say, when he's trying, so the alien is now trying to plot to kill the child, right? And it's all the stuff that's running through his head of how he can off him, right? He even goes so far as to cut the brakes on his push bike, right? Because he knows there's a part of the town that's downhill that the kid goes down on, right? And so it's like he just imagines what's going to happen next. Like, you see it playing out in his mind. You think it's already happened, but then it's like, it cuts to him just sitting there, just smiling slowly to himself as he's thinking about this kid's demise. But, it's a funny show. It's very well written. All the characters, they're very good. Alan Tudyk, though, just steals the show as this alien being who's trying to get comfortable with being, trying to be human.
Yeah.
It's got some great lines in it. Like, was it? They still think cholesterol's the biggest killer on the planet. They're all wrong. It's almond milk, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I know the secret.
Yeah, that Futurama sort of thing of like, broccoli was outlawed in 2275 and all that kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, gotcha.
The special effects in the show for the alien itself, when he's in alien form, are fantastic. And when you see his face, they just get the whole range of expression going on. If you look up what the alien looks like, they've got you can't see where the CG begins and the sort of like the practical effects end. It's really well done. I mean, I don't know if they've spent the whole budget on that, on the actual effect for it, but it just looks so natural. Really does. So,
nice.
So yeah, highly recommend it.
And what's that on?
It's
what
on
channel?
Sky at the moment. If you've got Now TV or you've got Sky One or anything like you've got a Sky subscription, you can go back through because I've got the entire series on playback or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
So you can go back, start it from episode 1.
So presumably in the States and elsewhere it'd be on Sci-Fi, right?
Oh no, it's not HBO. Oh Christ Almighty! I know
it's okay. Don't worry. I'm throwing you a curve. Don't worry. It's fine.
I knew what it was on, but no, it's gone now. But
okay.
But yeah, check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it. Like I say, it's funny. Alan Tudyk just steals the show every episode.
Right. Yeah. Well, obviously he's one of those guys who just does.
Yeah.
That's just what he does.
I've never seen him in anything where he's the worst thing in it. He's always been good value for money, even in Dodgeball. But was it first time I saw him?
As Pirate.
Yeah, as the Pirate Pete or whatever the fuck he calls himself.
Pirate Steve.
Pirate Steve. But what was that? A Knight's Tale. That was the first time I ever saw him, and he is fucking brilliant in that. I'm gonna fun you.
Yeah.
In fact, that was the first time I ever saw Paul Bettany in anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
As Chaucer.
What a weird pedigree that film has.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was going to say Heath Ledger as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blimey.
I'll tell you what, it's worth it for Bettany and Tudyk alone, that film. It really is. Those two just make it. They really do.
Well, yes, I've just looked it up. It is actually on Sci-Fi Channel in the States.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, there's only like 7.
Or Siffy.
Siffy, yeah. There's only like 7 episodes that have been released so far, I think it is. So,
8.
You're getting in. Well, there you go. You're getting in on the ground floor of this. So check it out and have a bit of a giggle.
Nice. Yeah, 8.4 on IMDb too, out of 11,000 votes. So that's a big thumbs up, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yes, cool. Okay. He says that he's not looking completely on this strange site that's given me all these interesting details and where to get all the information on where these things are from. Ignore my sudden download drop in my voice. Anyway, so yes, moving on. Anything else, sir?
No, just that really.
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, my week has been a bit of a mixed bag. Probably the most notable thing at the start since the last cast, got my jab. So all three of us are now COVID safe.
Yes, we're like one and a half jabbed people now.
Yes,
aren't we?
Yeah,
we've all had the first one.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure we should allow Elton back once because he's the young he's the unclean because he's too young. He's unclean. So I had that jab. On Friday, it was kind of weird. I basically, Carol got the call to go in, and I'm only a few months younger than her, and and it's like everyone 50 is allowed to go to this drop-in centre in Bromley, and it was like, okay, fine. And Carol just went, well, my husband's here, because I dropped her in.
Yeah.
And she goes, my husband's here, and he's like 3 months younger than me. Can he get an injection as well? And they just went, yeah, go on. Sorted me out.
Nice.
So I walked in, got it done. So I am AstraZeneca'd up. So take that, Brussels.
Yeah. Yeah, in your face, Brussels. In your face.
In your face, Brussels. And and then basically I spent all of Saturday feeling like I was dying.
I had that the next day as well.
Horrible, isn't it?
I did. I had a proper flu reaction. Every joint ached. I had headache. I just felt horrible. Carol was slouching about like she couldn't stay awake, and it was just the pair of us were like, maybe we should have got injections at different days, because we're both the grown adults in the building were kind of slouching around the house.
The next day after I had mine done, I think it was like the day after we did the cast, right?
Yeah.
All I could think of was that the way I felt was that scene from Superman 3 where Superman gets the red kryptonite or whatever it is, and he goes all kind of personality change. That's it.
Yeah.
Flicking peanuts at the glass. That was me. I felt shit, and I was just not a nice person to be around.
I just got my duvet, just sat on the sofa and just watched shit telly, basically. That was it. And speaking of shit telly, on Sunday, we did watch a film, didn't we, Dal?
Oh yeah, we did watch a beautiful film.
Yeah, we did watch the Justice Leagues.
Oh, Just Ice League. There's no justice. There's Just Us League. Yes.
Yeah. Not the Justice League.
Not the Justice League.
Yeah. So we watched that, and we recorded a podcast on Sunday night, which you can find on our feed. It's just to avoid the trolls just leaping in to tell us random shit that we didn't care about, because we had our opinions, they have theirs. Never the twain shall meet. It's actually called Zoe Smith's Juicing Legends, as in ZSJL. There you go. So if you look that up, and it's also bonus episode 666 on our feed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Actually, no shit. Yeah.
I numbered it. I numbered it manually.
Okay, right.
Don't worry.
It's
number
say,
6.
Wow.
Yeah, it's number 666 on the 2021 feed on your iPad, on your iTunes, if you want to listen to it. Yep. So we did watch that. Well, we tried to watch that because it was as dark as fuck. But anyway, you can learn more about that by listening to our listening to the cast. And then what else did I do? Oh, I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, gaming wise. Because the whole game plus, I don't know, about 100 quid's worth of DLC is all available on PlayStation Store right now, and I think on Xbox Store for about 16 quid.
Oh, so, yeah, I got when I bought it, I bought the mega bundle with everything in it. It was like all or nothing. I'm not going to just buy the game and then get...
Not piecemeal it, yeah.
No.
But for 16 quid it was all right. And Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I don't like the fact that the game is everything that you hate about games with DLC. It's like the game is officially a grind. You've got to get all your good gear. You've got to get all the good stuff. You've got to level up, and you've got to be good at everything. Otherwise, you're not going to progress. And yet, everything you get has piddly fucking XP, piddly fucking powers, piddly fucking everything. Unless, of course, the DLC downloads midway through the game, because you can do live downloads while you're playing the game, obviously. And then all of a sudden it went, oh yeah, the Kratos Gold Pack has been installed. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, XP booster enabled, time-saving features enabled, powers enabled, and it's just like, what? And now I'm like playing the real game.
Yeah, I do you know what? I had did all that download before I started playing it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Assassin's Creed Tomb Raider, as I call it, because it might as well be.
Or Assassin's Creed BioWare with the amount of fucking dialogue trees all over it. But the thing is, it was just like you go and punch. You go and punch a bear in this game, and it's like, oh, you take like a fraction of a millisecond of nothing off them, and then all of a sudden, by the time the DLC downloaded, and I punched the bear again, and it was like Superman. I literally punched it over the fucking horizon. And it's just like,
take that, bear.
Right? Yeah, and then you notice that there's all these sort of microtransactions for time savers, for buying upgrades and buying XP and buying this and buying that, and I just thought, if I had bought this game at full price, like 60, 70 quid when it came out, and then found out that I'm going to have to play this game for about 7,000 years to get anywhere, but if I paid 30 extra quid, I would have been able to play it properly like a normal Assassin's Creed game, I would have been well fucked off.
Yeah.
So I was, so that pissed me off a little bit. What else? The Doctor Who watch. I think we mentioned that we got to Jodie Whittaker, but yeah, we watched the final Capaldi episode, which I really enjoyed. I have to say, his final episode is an absolute stonker with the first Doctor.
I love that whole season. I really did. I thought it was his best one.
Yeah, I didn't realise this until this time round, and I think I mentioned it last time. But how funny he was. How the writing really in that third season of Capaldi really lent into it. The way he keeps bringing the first Doctor along with him, saying, "Oh yeah, you can." He sort of points at Bill and he says, "You go in the TARDIS," and he points at like Mark Gatiss and he goes, "You go in the TARDIS, stay safe." And he goes, and the first Doctor goes, "I shall come with you." And he goes, yes, Mr. Pastry, come with me. I could do with a laugh, And there's so many little throwaway quips in it. I just thought it was so funny. So I really suddenly had a mad moment of kind of really regretting he didn't get longer.
Yeah,
but
same here. It's that that one where he's in that episode where he comes in on the tank with the guitar.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, that's a different. Yeah, this is, I thought you said an axe battle. that joke's going to age well over the next 200 years. Yeah, I mean it's and when he's about to change and he sees Nardole for the last time and he goes. I've been told that the worst thing to happen is when you die, but apparently I'm wrong. Not a rocks up. It's just there's so many little bits like that. You just suddenly think, oh, where's that gone? Where's that humour?
Yeah.
But it does kind of reiterate the thing I've noticed now, especially on this whole rewatch.
Yeah,
that you always go through the same. And I suppose it's kind of no shock to any like long-term Who fans in the audience, Jim. But you see the Doctor change. You go, that's not my Doctor. You go, ugh, don't like the writing on that Doctor. Then you get to the middle section and you go, oh, I'm quite enjoying this. And then they fucking die, and you go, oh, why? Why now?
Yeah.
Every time.
Generally, 3 seasons is standard fitting.
Is it?
Yeah,
it
pretty
is now,
much.
yeah,
Well, not even in the past. Hartnell did 3, Troughton did 3, Pertwee did more, and Baker did tons, but Davison did 3, McCoy did 3. Baker would have done 3 if he hadn't been been let go. When Michael Ray kind of stealth axed it.
Yeah.
But just for the Who contingent, because I'm sure Martin Thompson's shouting at his microphone. The
Yes, I'm
Mr.
sure he
Pastry
is.
line isn't just a
Yes.
comedy name. That is a mega geeky reference.
Is it?
Yeah, well, there was Mr. Pastry was a children's TV character.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
He was.
But the guy who played him was considered to be the first Doctor.
He was, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like super
So that's a
geeky
deep
Easter,
cut.
yeah, deep cut for the faithful.
Nice.
That is.
Oh, love it. Well, it's good. It's good that it works on so many levels then, because that would have passed that part of it passed me by. I just knew Mr. Pastry as a joke.
Yeah. It's just wonderful, just Mr. Pastry. Put down.
Yeah. Yeah, the first Doctor go, what are they? Looking at his glasses, and he goes, and the real Doctor's sort of looking at some glass avatar, and he goes, oh yes, it's not a computer because her face is asymmetrical. Why would it be asymmetrical? It's because it's organic. And the first Doctor goes, yeah, you would have seen that if you had taken those ridiculous things off your face. And it was just like, he's got those glasses on. And then Bill swearing at him, and then the first Doctor comes out and goes, if you swear one more time, young lady, I'm going to give you a smack bottom. And then there's just this look between Bill and Capaldi, and it's just like that moment, and he goes, can we just pretend that never happened ever? Just that never happened. I just love it. I thought it was such a great send off. It's probably my favourite Regeneration episode. I think it was really good fun. But yeah. Other than that, well, I've had a bit of a day at work, to say the least.
Really?
I think. Yeah. I think I'll skip over it. Hello, everyone. Just a small interruption to the podcast here, just for me to come in and say I'm just cutting all of this next bit out. The reason being is I got rather heated and rather cross, and I said a few things that, even though I'm probably justified given how angry I was at the time, I would probably get fired. And so, wanting to stay in gainful employment, despite how badly things had gone today, I have decided against basically calling out people, shouting out names, and basically getting very, very, very cross. Just thought I'd say that. Just thought I'd tell you why you're suddenly listening to Boccherini's Minuet for a few minutes while I just cut all that shit out. Which is obviously going to make the podcast a lot shorter. But anyway, you know what? It's going to be a short podcast anyway. So, thanks very much for listening as ever. And back to the podcast. The real one. Not just this bit here with me filling in, trying to save my own arse from my own running mouth when I'm getting cross. Anyway, carry on. Back to the podcast. Right, okay, well, let's move on. Let's move on to this week's this week's feedback. Because last week we did Shutter Island, and I think overall we liked it. We found the end a bit. I think there was more discussion about the end and what the end meant than the rest of the film, to be honest. But also the whole concept of how dangerous really was he and all that kind of thing. But anyway, so we got some feedback, and we had from Alan McPherson on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast. He left us with some notes for further reading about what happens when you turn a psychopath into a therapist. Just to follow up on that whole thing of, letting Leo run around and actually follow his delusions out. And then he follows up with, I also appreciate Jim Moon bringing up the asylum in the conversation. And has anyone seen the Ninth Configuration? Jim?
Yes, I
have. The Ninth Configuration? Yes.
Directed by William Peter Blatty, based on his own novel Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane. And it's about... an officer is dispatched to a military mental hospital that's local. If you remember right, it's in an old castle, and it's absolutely mental. Starring Stacey Keach giving a performance of a lifetime.
Yeah, which is something coming from Stacey Keach as well.
Oh,
if
yes,
I recall
yeah,
his old
yeah.
acting style.
It is a very bizarre film. Remember, I caught it late at night and go, what the hell is this?
Okay.
And then later I actually picked up the book. Hang on, in the library and go, this sounds familiar. This is that damn film, isn't it? Oh, yeah. In pre-internet days, this was, of course, where,
yes,
you couldn't just look this shit up. But I've not been back to that movie for a while. But I do remember a movie I had on video and he used to spring on people. Have you seen this?
Actually, there's one that I've heard that's just come out that needs to be sprung on us. I think if we can find it on the cheap or when it goes to mainstream, because everyone seems to be talking about it right now, which is called The Empty Man. Which is apparently like a new cult film in the offing, because there seems to be lots of people liking it and the film company seems to be trying to bury it. So that's immediately got my attention. But anyway, we'll get to that another day. So yeah, and thank you, Alan. Peter Organ also wrote in and said that he said, I felt a bit cheated by the ending and more than a little bit bummed out by how downbeat it was. But then I need happy endings and escapism at the moment. To which Alan then steps in and says, I agree with that sentiment, especially that the movie followed a decade of that type of ending. If it had gotten there first, Shutter Island would have been a classic. Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of, sort of in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of that kind of dour kind of the bad guy wins, good guy loses, sort of situation. Yeah, I won't spoil Shutter Island in this cast because we're not talking about it really, but yeah, so but yeah, there is a lot of that downbeat kind of thing. It seems to come in waves because they had it in the 70s as well, didn't they? 70s was very nihilistic.
Yeah, anti-heroes and bummer endings.
Bummer endings.
Rephrasing.
And euphemism. Anyway, so thank you, Peter. And you can hear Pete on his Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica cast called Broadcast over at libsyn.com. Broadcast.libsyn.com, rather. And then finally we have David Renane, Happy Dave, over in New Zealand, the most COVID-free place on Earth. It's like
the happiest land on Earth.
I was going to say it's like antiviral Disney, the happiest place on Earth. And he writes, "Hello, chaps. First, all the best to Elton for his super secret mission, whatever that may be. Yeah, we'll find out about it next week when he comes back. Secondly, Shutter Island. This is a first-time watch, and I'm pretty sure it must have been spoiled for me at some point because I saw all the twists and turns coming, and usually I'm not that bright. It might be the part of the reason I felt very little emotional investment at the outcome, just as Lee described. Yeah, because I was saying that it went through and everything was going through and it was all beautifully shot and well constructed and lovely and everything was fantastic. But I never ever felt like, oh, I really feel for this guy. Anyway, David continues, I'm glad Lee mentioned the thing about Leonardo DiCaprio looking like he's wearing his dad's overcoat. I thought exactly the same. But as the film went on, I wondered if this was actually a deliberate clue. He's wearing the personality like an ill-fitting suit.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah. And it may not have actually been his actual clothes to begin with, just something sourced for the experiment. There you go.
No,
interesting.
I like it. A little bit of symbolism there. We like a bit of symbolism. He continues, I did enjoy Darren's tinfoil hat theory, though I suspect it was scuppered by meeting with Dr. Cave Lady, which was just a bit too bonkers and random to be real. Is it just me, or did anyone else notice that no one mentioned he'd been out all night when he got back to the hospital? So did it actually happen at all?
Now, there's lots of weird little time jumps and sort of like continuity errors of where he sort of time fast forwards or skips or things aren't. There's like a shortcut.
Yeah.
And at first, you think it's just movie storytelling because you can't show fucking everything happening because you'd have a 3-week film. Zack Snyder, don't get any idea. But certainly when we watched it again for the show, me and Teresa were spotting these discontinuities that show you kind of where things are on the wonk in his own mind, as it were.
Yeah. I love that phrase.
It is. It's great. On the wonk.
Anyway, yeah, all right. Okay, so cool. He continues. He carries on here. Also, to comment on Lee's observation about Teddy being the most dangerous person in hospital, the only reason we think there might be other dangerous inmates is because that's what Teddy is told as part of the story that they're playing out for him. If you assume that the tag inmate was some sort of plant, which makes a lot of sense as there was no reason they would ever let Teddy into Ward C if there was some sort of breakout going on, then everybody else, like the interviewees, could be a plant rather than the patient. And in fact, given the thing with the gun, you've got to wonder how much of what Teddy sees is just an elaborate hoax or something more basic with Teddy's own mind filling in the blanks to his own delusion. The only thing I don't get is the lingering closing shot in the lighthouse. Oh, I get the symbolism, but Teddy's exploits have proven that building is not easily accessible, and it's not where any lobotomies could be taking place. It just threw me a little bit with a huh at the end. Anyway, thank you very much. Cheers, David. So, thank you very much for that, David. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think the inaccessible lighthouse was kind of more of just a visual metaphor, that it was somewhere mysterious, dark, and far away. Whether or not it was as inaccessible as it seems is probably down to how we're observing it via Teddy's eyes, aren't we? Really. So again, is it inaccessible, or is it just something he's mentally keeping away from, or mentally stopping himself from approaching? Because the whole point was that he knows that once he goes there, shit's going to go wrong, without spoiling too much. So, does he want to go there? And his brain's saying no, so he puts rocks and other hazards and shit in the way to stop him from thinking about going there. Lots to chew over, and I'm sure there are other podcasts and other people all chewing over the same sort of symbolism. But it was a fascinating film to talk about, and I'm glad it spawned some nice discussion there. So yeah, thank you for that, David, and I'm glad it's a film that it's the first time you've seen it, so that's good. Nice to introduce someone to at least a reasonably decent film, as opposed to this is the first time I watched Birdemic. You fuckers! Anyway, so with that, let's wrap that up. And if anybody has any feedback for this cast, or they've seen Justice League and they want to send me feedback about that, which I will throw in the bin if they are just there to shout at us, then by all means send it to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. Post it up in the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/theblackdogpodcast, or speak to the Twitter handle, which is @blackdogpodcast. And if you like, I'll have a chat with you about it on there. Right, so that's it. Let's move on to this week's movie, which is a much lighter affair than everything else we've been discussing. Because I'm a butler, and I buttle, and we are going to be discussing the movie Clue. Roll the jingle.
I see it's nearly 5 o'clock. I'm here at home, my work's all done. No question where I'll be tonight, a place of cinematic fun. It's the lockdown, but I will not pout. Oh, my friends, I won't be seeing this out alone. There's Lee and Elton and Jim and Darren, all sitting far apart for social distance. We're at the shut-in cinema, down in the bunker of shun. Down in the bunker of shun.
Hey fellas, it's been nearly 5 years. You gonna let me out now or what?
No. Right, okay, so Clue. Clue is a 1985 American black comedy mystery film based on the board game Clue, or Cluedo for you people in the European areas like myself. And the film was directed by Jonathan Lynn, who collaborated on the script with John Landis, which surprised me as I saw that came up. The cast has an ensemble with Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Leslie Ann Warren, and the film was produced by Deborah Hill, who's best known for working with John Carpenter on lots of his films. She worked on Halloween, Fog, Dead Zone, Fisher King, Escape from LA, Crazy Alabama. Well, wow, she's done a lot of stuff, and none of it is anything like Clue. Anyway, the movie tells the story of 6 strangers who arrive by an ominous invitation to a secluded New England mansion, and then there is a murder. And in keeping with the nature of the board game, the theatrical release included 3 possible endings, with different theatres receiving one of the 3 endings. In the film's home video release, all 3 endings were edited together, and the film initially received mixed reviews, but has now gained a considerable cult following, as I discovered quite quickly when I posted up the fact that we were doing this film. So, it had a budget of $15 million. How much do you think it made, Jim?
I actually do know this.
Oh, right, okay.
It came in, it made just slightly less than its budget. 14.5 or something like that, I remember.
Okay. Well, Darren, can you get between 14.5 and the actual figure? And if you do, I will give you a lollipop.
Okay, I think it made 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. No, wait a minute. That's 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus. No. That's
2
1
plus 1
plus
plus
2
1 plus 2
plus 1 plus 2. $1,000 at the box office.
Nice. Yeah. Well, you weren't far off, Jim. It made 14.6 million.
I was right.
Yes,
Yes.
there we go.
I was right, yeah. Bang. Hold on. So, okay, well, let's go around the table. I mean, let's see what everyone thinks of it before we get into the chat about it. I mean, I haven't seen this. This is the first time I've ever seen it. So I'll go last, and it was because it was also my choice. So I suppose it should be me who goes last, but there you go. So, Jim, what did you, just top level, what do you think of it now after this rewatch?
Well, I've already watched it several times this year already.
Yeah.
But it was still a pleasure to go back to, because it's, I mean, the director is one of the co-creators of Yes Minster, and it's just kind of, you've got a brilliant ensemble cast, and it's just a joy watching them work.
Yeah.
And there's so many lines you miss watching it once because you were laughing at the other line, and 2 or 3 zingers go past, or someone's doing something funny you didn't notice while you were looking somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a film I've often had a lot of affection for. I discovered it on TV, and there seemed to be a time where you always used to turn up on bank holidays. I used to try and make a point of watching just to try and remember the end. And of course, you never can. It's absolutely impossible.
Bonkers.
to keep all the storylines straight with all 3 endings.
Yeah.
So I had good fun going back to this again. It's just such fun to watch a brilliant cast just working as one.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, Darren, what about you, sir?
Yeah, I still enjoy this film, and there were 1 or 2 bits I actually laughed out loud at. There are also some stuff that I didn't notice last time, or that I've watched I think it's been a couple of years since I've watched this. But you know how you try not to put your sensibilities of today. You try not to put that template over the thing you're watching. I couldn't help it at one point because I gave a physical reaction to one bit, which is, just stop it.
Give it a rest.
Give it a rest, Lloyd. You know, it's there were 1 or 2 bits that just like, no.
Yeah. Now gather round, children. This was a very different time. But then again, thinking about it, his character does kind of explains itself.
It's not just him, though.
No.
Just him.
No. But anyway, moving on from that.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, I still had a laugh at it. I suppose I'll mention the bit that just got me every time. Am I allowed to say it now?
Go for it.
It's the bit where the guy opens the door and he gets hit on the head with the ironing board. That got me every time. And the other bit was where at the beginning, where you've got Colonel Mustard standing there in the drawing room, and the door opens and it hits him, and you hear "ow!" That.
We'll get to other favourite bits in a minute, because I'm sure we'll start quoting, because I don't know what I can start discussing about this too much, because this is, like I say, the first time I've watched it. I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is no diss on the movie, right? But I'm gonna have to say it as I see it. I've had literally so many people on Facebook, Twitter, elsewhere, telling me how funny this film is, that I was geared up for something that I didn't get. Which is no diss on the movie. No diss on the movie. I mean, it is purely me with my expectations, but also the way that people sort of were like, this is a fucking funny movie. You are just going to laugh your fucking ass off at this. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't laugh my ass off. I smiled. I enjoyed it in the same way as I enjoyed the more 30s farce era sort of design layout of Frasier. So, when you watch an episode of Frasier, for example, where they're in the log cabin, in the ski shack, and there's like two ladies, there's Niles, the dad, and Frasier, and they're sort of like, they're running between different people's rooms, all thinking that every other one is the other person, and there's mistaken identity, and there's quick dialogue going backwards and forwards, and everyone's flitting about, and the joy is watching it like a mechanical clock, all fit together. So the humor is not only in the dialogue, but is in the situation, and you sit there and you don't find yourself sort of laughing the first time. You find yourself the second time you watch it, or the third time you watch it, actually laughing, because you can sort of savor you can sort of filter out the manicness. Do you know what I mean? You can sort of see past the manic, and I haven't done that yet, obviously. So for me, I just sat there going, okay, I can see this is funny. I know this is funny. There is a lot of funny things going on. There are lots of funny one-liners. I mean, going back to the thing I was saying about the last sort of Capaldi Doctor Who, there was lots of stuff where there was dialogue coming at you going, I like that. That's quite funny. And then as you're saying that, someone is saying something else. You're going, hold on. So, and I've got to give props to Tim Curry. Because if it wasn't for him, I think this film would just be a whole bunch of comedy actors just running backwards and forwards and shouting very loudly. he is the pin holding the whole thing together. But yeah, there's dialogue literally from the minute where you get like Miss Peacock going, "Is there a little girl's room in the hall?" And then the vet going, "Oui, oui, madame," and he goes, "No, I just want to powder my nose," and it's that kind of farcical, that sort of comedy, sex comedy farce kind of double entendre stuff that comes at you super fast, and it's like, and I was just like, I like that. But I didn't laugh at it because I'm trying to process the next one coming in and the one coming in after that, and then next thing you know, the music's going da 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 da, and everyone's running left and everyone's running right and everyone's running up the stairs, and it's just like, fucking give me a second, just whoa. And so while I'm not going to be sort of over enthusiastic about it, I don't think that's a diss on the film. I think a combination of expectation and the way this film delivers itself, I can see why it probably didn't do well on its first release, because people would just be like, what the fuck am I watching? But like all the best comedies, you come back to it and you filter out the stuff that you caught the first time, and you go for the second round and you go for the deeper cut, and you can enjoy things more and more and more. So so it's not that I disliked it. Hardly. I'm not going to say that at all, especially after watching Justice League. I mean, I fucking nearly had to recalibrate my eyes going from black, almost incredibly stark Vanta black fucking film to this thing, which was like 2,000 miles an hour and bright colours. So yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but I think I do need to watch it again to actually appreciate it.
I remember the first time I saw it, it was just kind of like, I thought, oh, it is that film based on Cluedo. This is going to be rubbish, isn't it? But it's got Tim Curry in it. I like Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And I do remember it was kind of like, what the fuck is this film? It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it just really just doesn't stop. It just, it's like, fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's go through it. I mean, because at the end of the day, the cast is what makes it. That's for sure. I mean, every single one of them's a decent comedic actor. Not one of these ones like you see nowadays where they just think that just by sort of like gurning and shouting loudly, or that counts as comedy. No, they did have an actual performance going on with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, apart from Curry, was there anyone who stood out to you guys? Because I have one right in mind, but go for it. Go on. Any what about you guys?
I do really like Madeline Kahn in this. Just really, just really funny.
Yeah.
Why did you kill the maid?
Oh yeah, fire.
Flames. I'm getting flames at the side of my face. It's burning. I mean, yeah. I mean that recalls her part in was it Blazing Saddles?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just and Young Frankenstein as well. It's just
Of course, yes, yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's true. Sorry.
I did like the copper in it. When he comes, he's going, "I'll have you done for this, that, ever, and murder." And they open the door and it's like, "What?" And he goes, "I only said that so you'd let me out."
Yeah. I mean, I did like that whole sequence with the copper, with the sort of whole thing of I don't know what you're worried about. It's all legal. And there's Tim Curry going,
just people having a good time.
These people are having a good time. They are. Man, this is America, the land of the free. Freer than I expected. It's just yeah, I did like all that sort of stuff. I mean, and that's the other thing with Tim Curry's performance. It's so totally prim English, stuck amongst all these crazy Americans just being crazy. He's both the linchpin, but also he ends up being the most manic of all the characters of the lot, which I think is great.
Well, there was actually a fourth ending.
A fourth ending?
there was a fourth ending that they
Oh, God.
didn't film because they felt it was actually a bit mean. But the
Hmm.
fourth final ending was it was the butler what done it. And actually he killed them all, got away with it, but then ended up getting eaten by his own rabid attack dogs on the estate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I thought that was just a bit too dark.
Well, by that
Really?
point, yeah, I was going to say, by that point, it was a bit, a bit late. What were you going to say, Dale? Sorry.
Just where Tim Curry's concerned, there was something he did, right? It was just, and this is pure timing of the cut, right? How they did it. It just added weight to the joke. It's the bit where he's explaining how like people got offed and stuff like this, and he's in the fridge as the cook. And you see him fall out the door, land in the bloke's arms, and then the bloke just drops him, and it cuts to him on the floor, and it's like nothing's happened to him. He's just laying there, continuing to
there.
explain it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he hasn't hurt himself. You don't hear him go ah, but he's just like just rolling through it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was gonna ask you one thing, both of you actually. I mean, the jokes aside, with the thing with the plot, is there actually something where you can look at it and go, I understood the plot? Because the explanations you get ending A, B, and C, yeah, you get them, but even in the context of what you've been shown, to me, they make no fucking sense.
That's right. They don't. None of it does. It's just bonkers.
No.
It's all done for comedy effect. The whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to try and say. Was there actually? Is this just trying to just say you're not going to work it out, so don't bother?
Well, I think it's like a play on all those murder mystery whodunits and all the good ones, like the best Agatha Christie ones. If you pay attention, you've got a chance of working it out. With the bad ones, you don't have a fucking prayer because there's a ton of stuff you were never told in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is is the ultimate send up of all those. Everyone gather in the drawing rooms, and I'll explain the plot to you endings.
Yeah,
and it's just because you give you one, you go, okay, fair enough. Then it goes, but it could have happened like this, and you go, what?
Yeah.
And they go, all right, that's just as plausible. And the third one goes, I give up. I'll just watch Tim Curry carrying this film on his back and running around with it.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I was going to say, because that's probably another thing where I don't know why, because by that point it was a bit fucking pointless, but I don't know why, but I was literally sitting there going, I don't understand how this plot fucking works. And then it was just like, is it supposed to work? Was it supposed to work?
I don't know. Talking about
originally
parody.
they were going to send it out with different endings.
Yeah,
and it was that's the ultimate sort of film gag. But I think it was I think that played well with people. They just confused people. What do you mean? That isn't what happened in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So each ending is equally plausible on its own, but when you put them together, it gets confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you going to say there, Dal?
It's what you said about the parody of of what was said about the parody in general of murder mysteries. And they even include this. They include the voice, right? When they explain who's done. Have you ever heard that theory? They did this on Mitchell and Webb, right?
Go on.
They did like a Hercule Poirot piss take, and they go, she must be guilty. She's doing the evil voice, and it's that you got the character who talks a bit like this, and then they fucking corner them, and they prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they've done it, and then they're like, yes, of course I killed them because I'm evil, and they do that in this as well. You hear the voices change when they finally crack, and they do that in every murder mystery you ever watch. Watch it, right? Watch the end of any episode of Poirot, any episode of fucking Miss Marple.
Yeah.
any of that, and all the bad guys, even fucking down to the bill and stuff like this, when they get caught, the voice changes.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
do it in this, and I automatically thought of that sketch, and that made it even funnier.
Yeah.
So it's like, yep, even in this,
Even in that, yeah.
they do the evil voice.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I guess that was part of the thing with this, where I kind of, on the one hand, I was appreciating it and having a good time with it, where I was kind of like recognizing the tropes and all that kind of thing. But like I say, part of me was actually trying to sit there and figure it out, and I was sitting there with Lisa, my youngest, and we were both watching it, and she's going, oh yeah, well, it's definitely X, Y, and Z. You know, and I'm like, right, who, why? And she's like, well, this, that, and this. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. You know, that's where that's how it'll go. And then I sort of went, oh no, but hang on, it's the Colonel Mustard, because look, he's throwing that picture away, and that's the guy, that's the hitchhiker who broke down, who's about to die. Look, and it's like, I've got it. And then it turns out that none of that means anything, and I think I was partly bamboozled by that as well, sitting there going, you what? What was the point of this? I kind of like, why? Why doesn't it make sense, this stupid film about a comedy, about a board game? I should have just gone with it. But anyway, I was going to say, you picked Madeline Kahn as one of the main players. I was going to say, for me, the one I actually really enjoyed watching was Michael McKean, who plays that sort of straight-laced character with the sort of bumbling around, and that scene where they're going to go up into the loft, him and Yvette, and it's like, is anyone up there? And it kind of cuts away, and you see lots of action, and it's like 10 minutes of everyone else. And then it cuts back, and they're still stuck in that little fucking stairwell, just looking up. It's just like, hello? And then it cuts away again, and it cuts back to them, and they're still in that fucking stairwell, and it's like, I'll go up first. And she's like, well, I'll go up first. And you go up first, and then they both kind of shuffle up side by side.
Yeah.
I mean, there lots of those visual gags I really did dig. I mean, you've already alluded to it, Dal, with with some of the shall we say questionable politics that doesn't age well in the modern day.
Exactly.
I have to say, the whole thing with Yvette and Miss Scarlet, and especially the Christopher Lloyd character, and in fact the Mike McKean character, it just seemed to be. I think the thing was, if I'd just been watching it on my own, I'd been fine. But I'm sitting there with a 13-year-old girl, and the film's rated 7+, sort of comedy,
exactly.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, so do I have to now have a chat here about what's going on? Because Christopher Lloyd's picked up this lady by the roadside, she's waving her ass at him, and then he's grabbing her ass by trying to walk in through the door, and it's just like, ew. And then the film kind of explains it, and you kind of, oh, okay, fair enough. He is a sleazeball. But then for every 5 minutes, someone's staring down fucking Yvette's top, and you're like,
yeah.
And then at one point she flashes her knickers sitting down, and then it's just like, oh my god, it's just like, I mean, I'm not a prude. I don't care. Personally, I could have just sat there and watched it without a care in the world. But I did feel a bit weirdly awkward when I'm sitting there with, like I say, a 13-year-old girl who's expecting a light-hearted comedy based on a board game, and everyone's groping everyone else. It was just like, whoa, hang on. Yeah.
Stop it. Back
up. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it was that was the thing that made me. It was that knee jerk. Stop it! I actually, that came out of my mouth. I went, stop it! It was the bit, I think, when it's a Christopher Lloyd bit when his character just his hands are his hands are free too much on there, and I think he grabs Scarlett's backside, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Stop it.
Yeah, that's actually that is the scene I'm referring to when they both walk up to the front door.
Yeah,
and he just literally just brazenly grabs her ass. I mean, like I say, you can do two things. You can either say it's of its time, or you can say, well, actually, it explains that because he is a sleazebag, and that's the thing he's getting done for, which is, getting blackmailed for, which is, And that's the other thing, that everyone's getting blackmailed, so they're all scumbags in one way or another, so it kind of like, that feels like almost like the film kind of hand waves that away.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, we live in an age now where we've got to say everything is bad, and we can't actually show bad people doing bad things to make a point that they're bad, and people complain about it, and it's kind of, that's if Christopher Lloyd's character was portrayed as the romantic lead, and this is how a gentleman should behave, that's a different matter.
Yeah,
but the fact is, he's a scumbag, and bar Michael McKean, he's the only who isn't a scumbag.
Yeah, but even he though, that's one thing I did notice. Even he, in a couple of scenes, he's put himself forward as being this homosexual guy, and he goes, "Oh, I'm a homosexual." But whenever he walks with Yvette, he tries to get her to walk first up the stairs.
Yeah,
every time. And then any time he goes in the room, he's going in the room. He goes, "I'll go in the room first." But whenever you see him go up the stairs, he goes, "You can go first." And it's like and when you know the twist to the end, you're like, "Oh, you dirty sod!"
What are you doing? I'm going off to be home with my wife.
I'm going home to sleep with my wife. Oi!
Can I ask, did anybody ashamedly laugh at any really cheap joke? Because I did. Right, I felt ashamed of myself for laughing.
There's quite a few There's a lot of very clever jokes, but there's a lot of very cheap ones as well.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. It's just keep them coming. I'm fine.
I think it was Tim Curry that comes out with the first part of it, and then he sets it up, and it's one of the other characters and comes straight back with the line at the end of it, and he goes, "I was threatened to be exposed, but I'm going to expose myself." And somebody goes, "Hey man, there are women in the room." It's just that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's loads of ones like that where it kind of like there's one about Yvette as well, wasn't there? Sort of like, Yvette look after the Colonel Mustard within reason, and stuff like that. But that's the thing. It's like I say, it's like an old 40s, 50s sort of sex farce, and like I say, it's like the thing my brain constantly kept going back to was that Frasier episode in the ski lodge. Because that does the same thing, Frasier has got a lot of highbrow humour and a lot of one-liners and a lot of backwards and forwards and running about and manic energy, and that episode has that whole thing with like two female ski instructors, a male ski instructor, two female characters who are the main characters, Roz and was it? Oh God, I've forgotten the name. Who's the other one? The maid. Daphne, Roz and Daphne, and then you've got Niles and Frasier, and then you got Frasier's dad, and then you got like I say, you got this male ski instructor and a female ski instructor, and everyone thinks they're in with a chance with everyone else, and they all keep getting in the wrong bed with the wrong person, and they're running backwards and forwards, and then finally, right at the very end, it all comes out, and everyone confesses, and then right in the middle, you got Frasier going, "Here we are, all this sexual energy. Everyone bed hopping left and right, and you're telling me nobody wanted to sleep with me." And it had that kind of energy. This whole film had that kind of energy all the way through it. That you're sitting there watching something that's on paper is kind of cringy, and you're sitting there going, "Well, actually, no, though this is done with a certain level of wit and." And it's quick and it's fast and it's it's pacey and it's got some really clever dialogue going in, which like I say, there was lots of it that I was sitting there going, oh God, that's cheesy line. That's a Black Dog opener line. That is,
Yeah.
what, who are you? I'm the butler. What do you do? I buttle. It's like, are you what? But if you want to talk about actual belly laugh,
Yeah.
the only one that got me a belly laugh was when it got out of control towards the end. And I even put it on the Facebook group, which is when one person's being bumped off and another, eventually it's kind of like one person dies and it's da-da-da-da-da, and then another person dies. Da-da. But when those lights go off and fucking like four people in a row get conked out, and it's like, the policeman, the guy in the other room, one of the, I can't remember who is, Yvette gets killed. And it's just
the singing telegram.
Yeah, and then like I say, and then out of
telegram.
randomly the door just opens and it goes, "I'm a singing telegram," bang, and it just shoots her. And that's when I lost my pieces, because it reminded me a lot of that kind of mad escalation of, we've got no one left in the house to kill, so we'll just bring someone randomly and have them at the front door and just shoot them. It had that kind of Indiana Jones shooting the swordsman and sort of like surprise gag, or when you watched Grindhouse. You've seen Grindhouse, yeah? The Tarantino Rodriguez thing, and they have all those trailers in the middle of it. And there was the Edgar Wright one called Don't.
Yes.
And it reminded me of that, because the first bit is like, oh, here's a horror scene, and it goes, don't. And then if you're going to go into the basement, don't. And also, but then by the end of it, it's like, don't go into the don't go into the don't open the door, don't pick up the TV, don't turn on the lights, don't. He goes, don't. And by the end of it, it's just like everyone, it's just, whatever you're doing, don't, sort of thing. And it had that sort of thing. It just sort of got more and more people dying, and then it's just like, oh, we've got no one left to kill. Let's just have a fucking telegram person turn up, do a jaunty jig, and then just get shot. And I thought if it almost made me laugh more harder, because I started to imagine that literally this was how it was going to end. We just everyone getting shot, killed, hung, stabbed in the last 2 minutes with the lights out, and then the last person standing going, "Well, it was me." Oi. But no, that was a really funny scene, because it caught me completely unawares. Yeah, and I was going to say the whole thing with the house and the sort of round the back and hiding in the tunnels and all that kind of stuff. Did that make any sense to you guys? Because to me, it was just like, again, it was one of those kind of, they just threw it in there as a red herring to, make no sense at all. Just like, this is another way that some people can get into a house, or is there...
Well, all the secret tunnels and the entire house is faithful to the Board of Cluedo.
I did not know that.
Yep, in the Board of Cluedo, there are secret passageways where you can shortcut to secret rooms rather than going around the board. And so that's why they're there in the plot.
Yeah.
That's why the weapons are in it as well.
Yeah, well,
I got all the weapons. And...
Yeah, I got the weapons, because that was almost a gag in itself, when it's like, oh, here's a noose, here's a candlestick, here's a gun, here's a knife, here's a lead pipe. And then all of a sudden, one of them, I think it's Miss Scarlet, goes, what am I going to do with a candlestick? And I just thought, right,
easy.
Okay, easy. Yeah. Well, exactly. It's back to that again. It's just like, oh, it was like an old sex farce, sort of 70s sex farce. In fact, it reminded me a bit of See You Next Wednesday in American Werewolf in London, where someone just comes into the middle of a porn room and porn story and just goes, Get away from my wife. I'm not your wife. Oh, sorry. Carry on. Just walks out the door. But I don't know what else to add to this, because I'm kind of a bit numb to it. I'm kind of like trying to get my head around all the gags, and I almost, like I say, feel like I need to go and watch it again before I could really review it, because even now, thinking about it, I still haven't got a clue what the fuck happened at the end. It just turned into a load of people making excuses for why it was X, Y, or Z. I mean, was there a preferred ending for either of you? Which ending do you think made the most sense? I guess.
I like the third and final ending. I thought that was a good one to end on. But in terms of sense, they all weigh up about equally, as far as my brain can ever comprehend it by that point of the movie.
Yeah. What about you, Dal?
Well, I think all three of them, could do all three of those endings. I wouldn't have minded at all picking any one of those three.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I say, I none of the endings made any sense to me at all. I just, again, I get that that's the intention now, but while watching the first time, I was just like, what? I don't even. Why? How? How do we come to the conclusion that Body was still alive? What? Yeah, but yeah. So to me, I don't know. I kind of, by the end of it, I was just like, yep, okay, that's cool. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, if someone was to ask me what this film was like, I would say I wouldn't recommend it as the greatest comedy ever seen, because, like everyone else is bigging it up, because I think to do that is to do the film a disservice. People need to discover this film kind of blind, and I'm not taking it out on the people who recommended it to me, because I think, people are enthusiastic about it, and rightly so. But I think anyone who comes at a newbie for watching this film and says, "Oh, it's a great film, it's really the best film ever you want to watch," you better be sure, because if you get someone like me who's going, right, okay, well, I think Young Frankenstein and Life of Brian and Airplane are three of the funniest comedies ever committed to celluloid. So if you're going to put it in that kind of territory, you better be damn sure that it's good, not just I'm feeling clever because I've noticed all the clever things because I've watched it 28 times. And that's the only thing I take away from it, is that it's a film that will reward repeat viewing for sure. But as a first impact, watching it for the first time, I felt half the time I felt shell shocked, half the time I was laughing at a line, and half the time I was going, "Fuck, I've missed a line." And I think that is both a sort of like, it's going to be a joy for later on watching it again, but I also think that's to the film's detriment for new viewers coming into it cold.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, that's my view in it. Really, I wish I had more to say on it, because at the moment, like I say, I just don't. I've got whole quotes here, lines of quotes here that I had written down, and I know I've missed half of them. I just do. And the whole thing about, oh, what was it? I'm trying to look through my notes now. Hold on, hang on. Yeah. What's your top secret job, Colonel? I can't tell you. He's working. I can tell you he's working in secret on the next fusion bomb. How do you know that? I can keep a secret. Can you keep a secret? Yes. Well, so can I. It's just like, right, okay. Yeah, and there's things like that, like I say, the dialogue with the cop, they're just having a good time, they're all fine. Yeah, is everything all right? Yes, only 2 dead bodies, brilliant. Everything's fine. Mr. Body's dead again. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Carry on. Anyway, has anyone got any additional things they want to say about this? Because, like I say, I feel like I'm shortchanging the movie, but I really don't have a lot to say about it beyond I enjoyed it, but I think I'm going to enjoy it more the more I watch it, rather than right now where I'm kind of a little shell shocked.
I think you are, because I watched it twice yesterday. I watched it because the first time I started watching it was so late. I was nodding off through bits of it, so I watched it again today. When I had breaks, I was watching it, and I enjoyed it a lot more being awake and watching it a second time, having a little bit of a refresher last night, and then coming in and watching it again today. It's it certainly helps.
Yeah. Okay, Jim.
I think it's a movie that sort of grows on you. There kind of is so much to take in. And I don't think there's anything sort of. It's like a lot of different things, if you know what I mean. But equally, it's something quite unique.
Yeah.
Whereas something like The Young Frankenstein or Life of Brian or Airplane, they're
more
very
straightforward,
immediately accessible. Whereas this, it is kind of. I think it is kind of. The more you watch it, you more you appreciate it, and the funnier it is. But it's a kind of, you have to sort of go into training to keep up with the movie.
Yeah, and like I say, I wasn't trying to diss the movie or say it wasn't funny. Quite the opposite. I think it's going to be one of those films. I mean, like we've mentioned plenty of them before in the past, where the first time we watch them, we go, and then the second time we watch them, we're quoting them, and then by the time we've quoted them like 58,000 times to each other, it's like, okay, it's funny. It's even become an in-joke in their own sort of backwards and forwards dialogue as friends. And I can see that happening with this. Definitely, without a doubt. But
when we did for Commentary Club, we watched it 3 times. Because first we thought, oh, right, we just stick it on and commentate, and I just couldn't keep up. So that we canned that recording, and then another night we just sat and watched the film, and then we watched it again and did the commentary, and then we could keep up. But that's the kind of movie it is, though. It's not bad to have things like that, but at the same time, it is kind of. I would cautiously recommend this to newbies.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that'd be my take on it, because I know the more you watch it, the funnier it becomes. But I also do remember the first time I watched it, and my head was spinning by the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there, it's if you're not in the mood for it, if you're just casually paying attention to it, if you know what I mean, rather than actually watching it, you will either get lost or you'll find too much of it passes you by, and like I say, when I was watching it, and there's a whole bunch of sequences there's the sequence when Tim Curry effectively in the last third of the film recounts the film, and you're like, well, that's amazing, that's really good, that's pretty funny. But on the other hand, I'm sitting here now just watching 6 people run backwards and forwards in rooms while the music tells me it's funny. Do you know what I mean? What's actually happening, if you just played that like one of those kind of YouTube videos where they just take the music off, take the ADR off, and then have just sound of people's feet squeaking on the floor. If you just had that, you'd have 10 minutes of just like 6 people going into a room. But the music's going da 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 da, and you're like, oh, this is supposed to be funny, and I'm just watching people running about. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And like I say, if it wasn't for Tim Curry's performance, literally not so much chewing the scenery as devouring wholesale with a relish, I think that would have fallen apart quite quickly. But I know that if I watch that again next time, knowing that sequence is coming up, you'd be more into sort of, well, I'm going to watch him. I'm going to watch what he does. I'm going to watch what these characters do. I'm going to watch how certain people react, and because they're all doing something and they're all staying in character, and it's fascinating to watch. It's like I say, it's the fast thing. It's the watching the mechanical pieces fit together perfectly, and I was almost watching the mechanism rather than laughing at the jokes, and I like I say, I'm just kind of a bit bamboozled by it. I mean, I am going to watch it again for sure, because to quote Wadsworth, it was done to create confusion, and then Miss Peacock went, well, it worked, and I think that kind of summed it up. Really, it was just like, it's deliberate, but it's funny.
Yep.
We all did it. We all had the motive. Great. We all go to the chair. But yeah, I like I say, I can't recommend it to anyone. That's the problem. I don't feel like I could be as effusive about it as people have been to me today, last couple of days. Because I would have to put so many caveats on the front of this thing before anyone watched it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a bit of a problem coming at it as a newbie. It's just like, if you have to sit there and go, okay, this is going to seem a bit crazy and a bit wacky and a bit out there, and it's going to get crazier and wackier and more outlandish by the end of it. Stick with it. Just take it in. And the next time you watch it, you'll find it's hilarious. And it's like, that's not really the best recommendation you could do to someone who's never seen the film. That's like saying Star Trek Next Generation, very good show. All you got to do is get through the first 48 episodes of season 1 and 2, and then it gets good. It's like, fuck off. But yeah, no, it's. I'm glad I've seen it. I'm definitely glad I've seen it. But like I say, I think I need to see it again for sure to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone got any other thoughts on it? Because I'm just babbling now. Anyone?
No, I think I'm done.
Yep, same here.
Okay, well, a bit of a shorter episode to make up for the 72-hour Justice League. So yes, okay. So that was Clue. Has anyone got any other thoughts? Have we just completely skipped over something? Have we missed something? You want to throw your 2 pennyworth in? Are you a new person who's come to it for the first time, like I have, and you want to give me your feedback as well? By all means, do so. Go over to the Facebook group. Leave feedback on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/blackdogpodcast, or send me an email, feedback@blackdogpodcast.com, or find us on Twitter, which is, again, @blackdogpodcast. Right. So, before we find out what's happening in Jim's wonderful world of Hypnagoria, let's find out what the film is for next week. Now, it is Elton's choice. He isn't here. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be here next week. He's establishing his network and connections, so hopefully that'll all be fine. But anyway, I did ask him for his film, so that he would come in with his choice and wouldn't miss his spot. So he gave me his film. And his film, funny enough, is exactly what we were talking about, or what I was talking about, because I feel like I'm just babbling at you poor sods for the last hour. But the thing of watching a film, finding it funny on the second go round. This film is on Amazon, and it is Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Starring Liz Hurley and Mike Myers, the first one. Yeah, baby, yeah. So, it is, yeah. So, this, I mean, he gave me 2 films to pick, I'll be honest with you. And I picked this one because I felt like it was a good companion to Clue. because,
Yeah.
like Clue, watched it and it was just like, huh? And then by the end of it, by the time we'd watched it like on home video instead of cinema, and by the time all of our friends had seen it half a dozen times, we were all suddenly quoting it, and everyone's going, "Yeah, baby, yeah, shagadelic," and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It suddenly became funny. So I thought, well, this is a good companion piece to Clue, because this is me sitting on the other side of the fence now. So looking the other way. So silly question, but I'm going to ask it. Jim, have you ever seen this film?
I have indeed.
And are you looking forward to seeing it again?
Yes, I've not seen it in a long, long time.
Okay, there you go. What about you, Mr. Barnard? Well, I know you've seen this before, but let's go through the motions. Have you seen this film before?
Yes, I have.
And are you looking forward to seeing it?
I am looking forward to seeing it.
There you go. Brilliant. Okay, so, so that's Elton's Choice by proxy. International Man of Mystery, Austin Powers, available on Amazon Prime for free. Hopefully, otherwise it will go off and go away, and then we'll have to go and pick another film. But, so that'll be our next movie. Yeah, baby, yeah. Absolutely shagadelic, baby. And I'm spent. And all that stuff. So there you go. Another sexist property with jokes that only work on a second time round. It's a perfect companion. So we'll come to that next week. But before we leave, Jim, do you want to fill us in on what's going on in Hypnagoria Land?
Yes, on my reading show, you can hear Philip K. Dick's Piper in the Woods.
Mm-hmm.
On Commentary Club, we've got another episode of Blackadder the Second this week, Potato.
Oh.
And on the main show, I'll be delivering the 4th chapter of my history of Universal Horror.
Excellent. And you'll be getting what day to sleep, precisely?
I don't know. I'm penciling most of April.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Okie dokie. Well, in which case, Darren, have you got anything to plug before we go?
No, not at all, mate.
Right, brilliant. Okay, well then there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got nothing to plug at all, apart from my own mouth, so that I don't get fired. We shall see you all next week for Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. I would nearly said thank you, Elton. And we'll see you all next week. Till then, take care. Tatty bye.
Ta-ta!
Bye-bye.
Nobody noticed, Darren. Nobody noticed.
I know. I could have disappeared for the entire episode and nobody have noticed.
No.
At all.
Bye, everyone.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.